click it right now. There we go. So now we can test.
There we go. Test.
Oh, don't do S. Don't do S. That's so bad.
Yeah.
Mm.
The smacking S sounds are just, No.
Okay, so
Super annoying.
I think this is good adjustment.
Are we starting?
Well, we can, because I can cut this off anywhere I want. So you wanted to bring up we want to talk about world building. I think we're going to be doing this for a few shows next little while, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what we want to have.
It seems to be that it's what people want to hear as well.
True.
I mean, after the last podcast, you kind of had like a spike in book sales, right?
There was that. So those of you who are here, we should do an intro.
Yeah, probably.
Wait, not just the music, but I want you to introduce us.
Me?
Yeah, you. You are the co-host. Why can't you do it once in a while?
Okay.
So I'm waiting. You start.
What's up, people?
No, you just made it spike.
Oh, sorry.
See, you got to pay attention to your surroundings.
Let me adjust a second.
He's
Okay,
learning.
that's a little bit better.
He's learning. I'm trying to teach him how to work around audio equipment. It's all right. He's going to get it.
Yeah, I need practice. So
That's what we're doing.
it's okay. Weekly, I'll be a pro in no time at all.
That's right.
Right. So I don't know what I'm supposed to say. You say intro, and I'm just thinking like
Intro is like, hello, everybody. This is Jamie Buckley from lifeoffiction.com. I'm here today with my son.
Simon.
Yep, I'm here with Simon. And we want to talk about world building again today. Actually, we want to talk about world building for quite some time. See, I just did an intro. You didn't do the intro. So now you do the intro. Just do it. Just try it.
Hello, everybody. This is Simon Buckley from lifeoffiction.com. And right here, I have my co-host, Jamie Buckley.
No, I'm the host. You're the co-host.
Oh, no, they don't know that. Just kidding. You could let me pretend for just a sec, Dad.
No.
No,
If I'm doing this and I'm paying for this and I'm arranging this and I'm editing this. No, you are the co-host, but I want you to have more freedom.
Alrighty then, I'm the co-host, and here's the actual host who's not hosting this time.
Hello, everybody. It's been an awesome, isn't it? Hasn't it been a fun week though?
It definitely has.
Last night, I could not believe that everyone was here. So they were here past midnight, and it's kind of sad because it's kind of dwindled off with your aunts and uncles.
Yeah, you're right.
If any of you are listening out there, you bunch of poo heads, you should have shown up. We had fun. I'm actually going to put a picture. Nobody knows I was standing in the hallway. I was trying to take pictures of everybody, get the different. I had to take 3.
Oh, did you?
I had to take 3 photographs with my iPhone to fit everybody in. So,
Well, the good thing though is that as we're losing our cousins and our relatives from your brothers and sisters and mom's brothers and sisters, the amount of people that are showing up is still growing. But that's because of all of my older siblings are now married. I'm the oldest unmarried sibling.
That's home. Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely
15
true.
years old.
Look at that. See those pictures? Everybody trying to get everybody crowded in. Like, I got Chris standing in the doorway.
That's it. I mean, that's a lot of people.
See, that would probably be the good one to post, huh? With all the little
probably,
kids.
Probably.
Third one. Oh, see, and then there's the other side with Evan's legs and the tree over in the corner. I'll post that one so everyone can see the little kids. It's awesome. It's so much fun. The party's over here and having everyone together. So any of my grandchildren that hear Grandpa and what do they call you?
Uncle Sly.
Uncle Sly.
The name doesn't actually mean anything. It just someone mentioned it once and it stuck. I'm not actually Sly. I don't fit that adjective.
That's true.
But it's a funny nickname.
You heard what
they call
Mom.
me.
You heard what Mom said the other day. The actual original Uncle Sly was your Uncle Rodney, whom you don't know. He just chose to walk away from the family. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, yeah, it's sad because Rodney's awesome, and we miss him.
Even though we're losing contact with some of these relatives, you have a continually growing number of grandkids, and that's nice.
Yes, I think by I think Mom said by March next year we'll be up to 21.
I love when there's
grandchildren.
enough of my nieces and nephews that I can start forgetting names. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
Okay. They'll like hearing that. Sam and Charlie are probably going to listen to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. But
And
I
they're-
never forget their names. I've known them since they were born, and they were the first ones, so I remember them always. It's all these newer ones that are popping out and just being like, hey, I'm alive now. And I'm like, I don't know where you came from, child. But hello, I'm your best friend. That's how it works with all the kids that I hang out with.
It's awesome having such a big family. It
is.
really is. I love it. I say this over and over. Just published a new parenting book, my very first one, and it's already doing well. And I've always said being a dad is the best job in the whole world. So with Simon, Simon's kind of a cheat sheet kid, because it's just his siblings will say that too. It's just he's kind of like on autopilot. If you met Simon, but this is actually true about all of his siblings. If you met my kids, people ask, why did you have 13 children? After I tell them I've tried to start my own country, I tell them if you met my kids and got to know my kids, you'd want more too. It's really that simple. So you'd probably want 100 if you met Simon. So that's my opinion.
Good luck getting 100 of me.
Yeah, no. So we did, what was it, episode 6, I think it was, that we did.
I don't know, I'm not keeping track
World
of the
building,
episodes.
and we want to talk about world building and about the Wanted Hero world, because Simon's been working. I'm excited. Just so you all know, who are listening, Simon's been working on something pretty amazing when it comes to wantedhero.com. And it's called the Dragon's Chasm. Oh yeah. And
awesome.
yeah, I want to buy all new software and computers and the whole setup, just so that when we start doing the audiobooks and probably other podcasts as well, I would like to really put some fantastic sound effects and things in place. I think it would be fun to go down with Hoban and Finley and go into the Dragon's Chasm and let people experience
We
that.
just need to get like really rich and then have someone make an animated something about it, because I think it would be really, really cool.
That's like on my dream bucket list. I'd like to do at least 120 episode series of Wanted Hero, going through the books.
That would be so cool.
Just like, because I love the Avatar cartoons. So
Yeah.
except for I like Korra.
Ugh.
I know. Why do you guys do that?
Because you haven't finished Avatar: The Last Airbender, and what
It's
happened
true.
is all the stuff that made Avatar: The Last Airbender really cool to me, and what I loved about it, they just took out with The Legend of Korra. The only aspects of Avatar: The Last Airbender that they kept with Avatar Korra
Uh-huh.
was the bending. Everything else was changed, and it's like I love the character development with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I loved watching these little kids and teenagers realizing that they have to mature and accept responsibility and fight so hard for what they believe in and sacrifice so much. Whereas in Avatar Korra, she's literally she's a temperamental, emotional. I think she's annoying. She really bugs me. Anyway.
Huh.
I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender is 50 times better than that. But you haven't even finished the whole series yet, because what did you say? The artwork bugged you?
Well, there's some stuff with manga period that bugs me. That's really in both, but I mean, yeah, artwork. Things have to look pretty. I have to enjoy things visually. The first thing is I'll watch just about anything if the storyline's great. If you can entertain me with words and get me to think about stuff, then you'll have me. I mean, I like the really, really old Doctor Who's, and they had like, cardboard walls and stuff like that, and yet they were great shows. So, and I've also seen, big, special effects, heavy special effects movies that just have stupid storylines, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Well,
So
in Avatar: The Last Airbender does have a very good story, and it's got.
it's true. It's true. The thing that I don't like with manga is like all the screaming.
You mean anime?
Anime. Okay. Yeah.
Manga's
you're
the
right.
comic books, or the
True.
anime is
You're
the
right.
animation.
You are right. But it's the whole, the eyes bugging out and all the screaming. Why is everyone screaming all the time? Stop screaming. It's funny when I'm watching that and I'm so disturbed, and I have your baby brother coming to me and saying they should be spanked, Dad. I was like, I agree. Stop screaming at each other. It's not doing any good. So that's the main thing. I do like the story, though. I really like. I really started enjoying. What is the awesome Earthbender? That girl, the blind girl,
Toph.
Toph. She rocks. That I
Rocks.
like her. Okay, that pun was not intended, but I think she's amazing.
Perfect.
Because the show really got my attention when what one was it? I think he was an earthbending king. He was in like this metal case or something like that, and going down these chutes with
Oh yeah, King Boomy.
King Boomy. Yeah. When I'm watching that and he's doing that within that coffin thing that he was in, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So, but no, I do like The Last Airbender. I like the original series. I just like the artwork, and I do enjoy the story as well. I like the Korra set. It's just a preference. So,
Okay.
just like I didn't understand why all of you were so up in arms about and saying that The Last Airbender, the actual movie, was stupid.
Again, because once you actually watch the cartoon, you realize the real one is very stupid. It's just like, no. If you at all actually are a fan or love the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, then you're not gonna like the movie because it takes out the comedy aspect, at least most of it. One. Number two, the characters are completely different. They don't have any of the personality traits that they don't share between the two. Also, the fighting scenes are kind of badly made, I'd say, because the bending is just like you got to do like 15 dance moves just to move a rock, and in the cartoon, that's not how it was. Like it was kind of dramatic in that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, again, those are those
like
special effect things, That's what I was referring to, those special effect things. Okay, so we've been talking about
kind of a
Last
tangent.
Airbender, but but that's world building. That really is world building. The their version of like a magic, right? So
they've gotten really in-depth history and everything. It's really cool. And a whole world.
So if we start here with Wanted Hero, I really would like to start conversing about the project that you've been working on. You've been working on this for over a year now. Have you realized that?
I think it's been over a year since I've started, but there have been gaps of time where I have not worked on it at all, mostly because of school and stuff.
I get that. It's no criticism. I'm just saying is that
yes, a year ago we started on this journey, and we are farther down the path than when we started.
Much
a great
further.
deal, and it's super fun.
So what
Made
we're
a
gonna
lot of progress.
So what I want to talk about today, because we're going to get into all sorts of world building in this podcast, but what would you like to talk about concerning the Dragon's Chasm? How do you think we should approach this and share this with everybody?
Well, if we were, let's see. So the last podcast I did with you, we were talking about world building and kind of the point behind it.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about the world and the mapping and how things are formed, things like that.
So honestly, I don't know. If you give me a subject, I can ramble on about it. So
well, okay. So let's start with this then. The Dragon's Chasm is a major part of the geography. Is that a correct statement? you
Yes.
think, on the continent of Humar. And Humar is where the humans live. That's their main area, and it's a main continent. Now, I don't even know if I should say this because you're going to be changing this with the map, aren't you?
Changing what?
Well, how everything, because it might not have all that, it might not have western and upper and lower Humar. Or do we?
You're right. Well, it will, but what it is I've kind of shifted them around, so we might have to rename them, but it's safe to say that it will be on Humar.
Okay. Well, we'll still have the kingdoms because we still have the 7 kings.
Mm-hmm.
And a queen. But this continent, the main area, and it's in the upper third. Before you reach the top of Humar, there is a chasm. Imagine something wider than the Grand Canyon and much deeper. And the thing is that it has some history. It has quite a few mysteries and reveals some things for the entire. And we can't do spoilers, but we can educate here. It is a very special place because there's probably, what percentage did we decide after you did the charts of the dragons? And you did what is that called? It's not a hierarchy. What is that called? You did that. I asked Simon at one point. Well, no, like with the poster. What I asked Simon to do a year ago, I came to him and I said, because I noticed his drawings, I noticed all the writing he was doing for himself with his own ideas and his own books. And I have dragons and fairies and everything you can imagine because I'm a professional illustrator. I have these things. I have these world building books and these materials. And I asked Simon, I said, would you be willing to help me while I'm working on this next book? Would you be willing to be my beast master? Isn't that what I asked?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and he said, well, yeah. Well, what do you want me to design? I said, would you be interested in designing some dragons? Because we have the Verdra, which are the dragon lords and ladies. And there's a story behind that. There's lore behind that.
Actually mentions it in book 1 of Prelude to the Hero.
Correct. When Wendell is walking with Delnar down there in the key. And so there's a story there with the Verdra, which are the most intelligent of the dragons. And they are the rulers of not only the dragons, but the animal kingdom. And at one point, they were given a gift from the gods to be able to take on mortal form because they were so fascinated by the humans and these other races that were walking and talking and dancing and loving and having children and all the societies. And they were just fascinated. And they had the intelligence to comprehend these things. And they longed to be able to experience some of these things with the mortals. And so the gods gave them the ability to transform and walk in a humanoid form among the people and enjoy those experiences. So I'm going to cut that off there. Not going to go into that anymore. We will do that in another podcast. However, there is an area where I think we said, a good 80% or more of the different dragons, classifications of dragons would exist, right? So we needed to have an area, a large area where small, medium, and even large dragons could breed and exist in relative safety from the rest of the world, not necessarily from each other.
The birthplace of the dragons,
exactly.
The safe haven, the first home, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the point of the Dragon's Chasm. Not just that, it's got a lot of different, like, even economical effect. Like, in reality, when you want to make something realistic, and you're going to create an environment as complex and as powerful and as large as the Dragon's Chasm, it's going to have effect in it's going to have effect all over the place. You can't confine it to just it's the dragon's homeland. It's going to be there are going to be people tapping into its resources. There's going to be geological effects. The whole world is affected by the other things in the world, right?
Right.
And because it's such a big thing, it has a very large effect on the rest of the world. So it is very important. But it is the home of the the dragons.
So we wanted to develop an area that we could expand and have. Let me fix my mic here, so that we could expand the different types of creatures. We wanted a place that we could truly. We really wanted to make that wild.
Yeah, the point was to inspire like as much wonder as we possibly could. This place had to be like crazy, and
it wasn't just wonder for the readers. It was wonder. We wanted to create a place of wonder for the characters in the books.
We wanted something that would really blow the minds of everyone, right? Something that could be questions could be asked about both by the readers and by the characters in the story. That it was a mystery and a source of wonder for everyone.
So here's the funny thing. I asked Simon if he would be interested in developing some different types of dragons. And he said, yeah, I would love to do that. I was like, awesome. So I figured I would just like give that to him and he'd get back to me in a few weeks or something. It was so funny. I did that around breakfast time. And by the time dinner came around, he's like, Dad, do you mean something like this? And he brings this big poster board. And he had done this chart of not only had he taken certain dragons and using the Verdra, he branched off. You had all sorts of classifications and subclassifications of dragons, and he had figured out scientifically how they could breathe fire or breathe acid. He had I hope I said this right, an ecological system in the dragon's chasm, how they could feed. He did all the food chains. Gosh, it was so complex.
So, and the funny thing about that is it's because you know how I used to read encyclopedias, and my favorite aspect of science was zoology and biology. I thought it was so intriguing, the living world, right? And I thought and these animals were incredible to me, and so I'd read all these encyclopedias and I'm pretty sure there's not a encyclopedia in this household that I haven't read like 3-4 times. Anyway, and so having a lot of that information just on hand in my brain, I could write stuff down and connect dots because I have a kind of a basis and a foundation outline for what a successful environment looks like. And so I can mess around with it however I want, and I can add fantastic elements. It doesn't have to be like modeled after any real environment. It just has to follow some basic principles of science, and then it looks real.
Well, and that's the thing that I absolutely loved in all of our conversations, and why I realized, we definitely need to start working with each other more, because here, I try to make everything as realistic as possible, but I work with, characters, food, life, the magic, the politics, and everything else, whereas you were making things ecologically sound, scientifically sound, saying, no, this would, even though it's not, quote, real, this would work. And that got me excited. I was like, wow, I can really just lay this at your feet and say, all right, this is what we need, this is what we need. And I laughed once and I said, you sound like a gnome. And that's when we both went, we need to give Simon a character and just let it run. And so we developed Finley Greenhopper. And what's great is that Finley is the protege of Hoban, had this character, this idea for this young character to be a zoologist and to be connected to Hoban. And Hoban was just very partial to this young gnome who spoke the truth in a society and in a organization, the FAF, the Fishes Archive Foundation, where most people did not tell the truth. They were just trying to arrange the facts and figures to forward their own agendas and their own careers. And Hoban's not that way, which is why he gets in trouble, because he tries to reveal to you, the reader, the actual truth about the world, which is what got him exiled in the first place. But he has all sorts of friends and connections on the inside still in Clockwork City. So we just said, well, why don't we take this up a notch? And let's get Hoban to smuggle Finley the heck out of Clockwork City, get Finley fully funded, and see what would a gnome who is more excited about animals and plants and places than Hoban is about history, which is pretty flippin' hard to do. Fully fund him, what would he do?
With all those chains taken off, all the barriers moved out of the way. If he could just fly, what would happen?
And me and Simon spent we spent well over a week, didn't we? Whenever you had a moment, we'd like go grab a couple of sodas and sit down on the front porch and we just talk and laugh and brainstorm. And we kept realizing, oh crap, this is so huge. And then I said, this is going to fill in a lot of the gaps that I've got that I've been wanting to figure out concerning the dragons. And he said, well, how far can I go? What are you going to allow me to do? Because this is my fictional world. This is what I've been telling stories long before Simon was born about this world. He says, how much are you going to let me do? What did I say?
As much as I can.
Do whatever you want. Whatever you want. And I said, well, Finley doesn't have chains on him. Why should you? So we'll make things work. Because Simon knows the storyline. He's read all the books. He knows the characters. So it's very hard to work with you, though, and not give you any spoilers. This is very, very difficult to not.
I know. I've had to catch you because I can smell when the spoilers come in. I was like, you're getting to this topic, and I was like, I can tell. You're gonna let me know.
No,
Dad, stop. We need to change subject. You're gonna spoil the story for me.
It's like, how do I have this conversation to write this next book? I need this information for a kid. No, we've got to figure out how to arrange that, Dad. I don't want to know. I want to be able to read the book like everybody else. Oh, so hard. But we're doing it. We are doing it.
We are.
So my question to you is, what would you like to reveal? Because when you came back with that map and you showed there are so many depths.
Oh, the vertical map.
Yeah, which we're gonna make and put. I really think that needs to be drawn and created as a map. We need to put that on World Anvil. We need to put. I want to take your sketches and then I want to actually draw that out in more detail and then make that as a 2D map. Going in, like you said, a vertical map, put that on World Anvil, and then I want to have markers so that people can look into and open up branches of information about, what each. Because didn't you do every level was its own ecosystem? Yeah, which is amazing. How many were there? I think Did you bring it in with you?
Yeah, I've got all my notes right here.
Oh, you should pull some out. Cool. Take a moment. This is phenomenal.
For them to understand, I think that we probably just have to explain kind of the basic.
We will. These are the moments where I sit there and I go, "This is my son. I'm so proud." Anyway, all the crunching.
All the paper. Oh no, it's crushed.
We need to get you another.
That's what happens when my nephews get a hold of my backpack.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I can still find it.
Oh, I thought that was your Advanced Worldbuilding Journal crunched in there.
Oh, it is in there. It's just I didn't pull it out.
You got a Tillman Highlands map in there.
I've got a lot of maps. You've given me a bunch of maps over the past little while. Oh, here it is.
I feel like we need an entire staff just to catch up to create all the things on my list. If anyone has seen my business book, my plans of all the books and maps and things, it's hundreds of pages of a single list of all the things that will be created that could be printed out or enjoyed. So
you asked how many layers?
oh my heck, hold on,
there?
can I hold this up here? Can we look at that? I want to see this.
Yeah, you can.
I want to, would you mind, can I take a photograph of this and we will actually put it in the podcast notes so that anyone who wants to see a photograph of what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'd like to draw up a version that can like make a little bit more sense, because what I drew was kind of just to help me visualize, and so it's kind of cryptic in its form. But if we wanted to make one and put it up on World Anvil, I'd definitely make it much better and have much more clear lines drawn. And
we're gonna do a very detailed. I'm going to do a very detailed map.
Awesome. Then I'll have to do that.
I am going to, I will give all of you my word, this picture, this is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of white paper. And Simon has, what I love is that it looks like all these creatures alive there.
Well, yeah, a lot of stuff is alive there.
Yeah. Wow.
So, did you want me to explain kind of? The
yeah,
basics?
I want you to go over, and so while if you're listening to this podcast, I will put that photograph up so you can get a good feel of what he's talking about. But he's got over on the right hand side of this picture that he has drawn. He has all. What are all the numbers? Is that how far down it goes, or what?
They in order to kind of. In order to have the different tracking systems and stuff they have at Pinwheel, the study station, they've had to create levels. So they've numbered the levels and depths so that you can say, if you lose someone on a mission, you can say they're at, depth 33 in the mid climb level. It's
Wow.
it's so they can locate stuff. So I that's part of what I've been working on that I'm not done with, is creating a coordinates system that not only goes I don't know how to say it. From how when you're looking at a map from like bird's eye view and you've got the grid system and you can point straight down, but I also want to be able to do depth.
Like
so
like a topical guide.
No, I mean like when you look at a map and it's grid. It's kind of like Battleship when you say A2.
Okay, so the
I'm saying that
the longitude and latitude.
Yeah,
right?
and that's just from a bird's eye view. That's a one-dimensional view. I want it to be able to do depth as well, so you can pinpoint exactly where something is.
Okay, so like when they do mountain ranges.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can. So that's what I was kind of designing. Anyway, so the number system is meant for.
But I like in your picture going vertical here how you show the plants and how far some plants go down in depth, and they still exist and mingle in those different ecosystems. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it works. So I can say that each level is its own ecosystem, and I'm not saying that there's a completely line drawn between them. There still is a transition. It's just that they are different ecosystems, and they slowly grow into a different one as you go farther and farther down. So you asked how many levels there were. There are 7, technically 8 if you count.
And we're talking about ecosystems, right? 7.
Yeah, the levels that as far that you go down, the 7 different.
Okay, so that's you've got these named in these brackets, and then you've got the different levels, the different numbers saying that we lost them on. Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah, so it's numbering the depth.
Okay.
Anyway, and I don't know if that's like the official number system. I kind of just put it on there just so I could.
Only Finley will know.
Use it. Well, that's if I was actually studying it, and if it was real, and I was down there, and I was Finley, I would come up with, even if it was just a temporary number system, I'd have to come up with something just to use until we could.
No doubt, because that's a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, so you wanted me to explain like the basics of what it was?
Please do.
So, let's see. You already explained it's a cavern, a chasm. It's a great big trench or canyon, right? But it's good 2-3 times the size of the Grand Canyon, I'd say. I don't actually know the actual numbers, but what makes it such a unique environment and what makes it so fantastical is that at the bottom of this massive cavern, there is a very, very large salt content in the soil and the minerals, a very, very large salt content, as well as it's on a fault line. So what it is there's a kind of a crack in the crust of the earth where the lava and the heat from the mantle is coming up to the surface.
Okay.
So there are geysers, volcanoes, hotbeds, stuff like that. And so when the Dragon Chasm was ripped open on the West Sea, massive waterfall was created. It allowed lots of the water to come and pour into the bottom of the chasm.
Now, is that you said on the West Sea?
Yeah, let me see. I've got another map right here. Yeah, the west side. So the Great Falls, what it is it's a massive waterfall, and it came in and it hit the hotbeds. And what that did is, because the hotbeds, they aren't going to cool down, because right under them it's billions of tons, an entire planet of just lava, the whole mantle, right?
Okay.
So it's not going to cool down, and it's not going to stop being hot. So when the water hit it, the water evaporated, and that's thousands and thousands and becoming billions and billions of gallons of water that's evaporated. And that with that much water vapor, it's got to go somewhere. It's got to do something, right?
Right.
So the immense heat allowed for a lot of water to stay in the air, and it became very condensed. And also, because it's below sea level, there's a lot of atmospheric pressure, which allowed for lots of the steam to stay steam, even though there was so much of it.
Okay.
So that being the case, what it is the steam would float up to about a little bit above water level as it just comes up this canyon, because it's super deep. I don't have the actual number, how many feet, but it's deep enough that by the time it got to the surface, it was rising above water level.
Okay.
And there wasn't what happened is it condensed into a cloud that in and of itself formed a little atmosphere.
Were you talking about this right here?
Yeah, the Cladorius.
Okay.
Yep. So this great big cloud, and it created an atmosphere just below the rim of the canyon that just covered the whole thing. So now if you go and look at it, what you're going to see is a several mile wide, hundreds of mile long river of steam and cloud. And what that does is it allows for everything under this cloud to form into kind of its own ecosystem, because it's cut off from the rest of the world. Sunlight doesn't get down there, and anything that does get down there, it can't really survive the way it does. Because what it is above the cloud, you've got a normal air temperature. It's kind of just the rest of the environment out on the surface. But as soon as you go through that cloud and into it, you're going through an atmosphere into another biosphere. And what it is the air is so thick with water, evaporated water, and with the saline content at that, it's toxic, and you can drown just from the condensation in your lungs.
Wow.
Hence
why you were designing those suits.
Yeah. So in order to actually be down there, you have to have a breathing apparatus, because there's just so much moisture in the air. The condensation will drown you.
And I'm excited to say that those of you who have been following along with Chronicles of a Hero, the exciting thing is that one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up and have Simon talk a lot about this, we're going to go through even more of the neat things that are in the Dragon's Chasm, is because we're just a couple books away where there's going to be a major competition, a major race, where they're going to have to go in and down to the bottom of the Dragon's Chasm. That's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun.
So we've been designing these things specifically for those books. And yet the more and more that Simon was designing, the more we had these talks, because he'll design all these brilliant things. Then we sit down, we spend a couple hours and just laugh, just spend dad-son time, and realize, oh my gosh, this opens up so many doors to so many other adventures. And then it's like, well, what one do we go with? All of them. That's what we've done. We'll just figure out other ways to actually do more. So, okay.
Yeah, so it's
So go with you've got the atmosphere, you go down, So go start from, okay, so we've got the top atmosphere. I want you to keep.
Yeah. So what it was is because of that atmosphere and because of the change in environment, and once you go through that atmosphere, the clitorius, it's a completely different environment. There, nature, life always finds a way. It adapts and it finds a way to survive. And so what happened is the life forms that were down there that were able to survive, and the life forms that found their way down there and learned to survive over the course of hundreds and hundreds of years, it developed into a very complex, very super adaptive, and very powerful group of organisms and environment. So if I go to go through the levels, what it is we have the surface, right?
Right.
The preclidorius, or the cliffs. And I was actually working on the leveling system for that.
Cool. Okay.
And I need to go through all the other 6 ones. But anyway, and that's the first layer. So one of the other key components of the Dragon's Chasm that makes it so intriguing and makes it so different is it's got a unique mineral called cryostone. What it is it's a very reactive metal that gives off electromagnetic and radioactive pulses. But it does it enough that it's able to, it's able to do a lot of things. And so one of the things it does is when one lump of this mineral, cryostone, and another, because of their electromagnetic qualities, they can, either be attracted to each other magnetically, or repel each other magnetically. And because it's all throughout the soil, you have massive clumps of land, these mini islands that are being repelled by the other cryostone in the ground, and strong enough magnetic levitation to lift these islands out of and off the ground. So you have floating islands using maglev we call it maglev technology. There are trains in real life that float using this.
Wow.
Anyway, but that's kind of what it is. But it all occurs naturally. That this cryostone is so strong, has such strong electromagnetic qualities that it's able to create these massive floating islands. Anyway, so if you go to the cliffs, what you're going to see islands rising out of this massive river or ocean of steam and cloud, and these huge islands just rising out and floating above. So that right there, in and of itself, is an ecosystem. Well, one, because it has the normal air density and environment of being above the atmosphere, but it's still got. Well, it's still the Dragon's Chasm, right?
Now I have a question about that, and I'm not afraid for all of you to think that I'm ignorant, because I'm not wholly ignorant. I'm just I concentrate on other things. But the islands that I'm assuming that what keeps them within a range without, because it's not like helium where it just keeps floating away.
No, it can't.
So it only goes so far that it gets beyond that pulse, that pushing force, correct? Mm-hmm. That's what keeps it at a certain level. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so what happens is it'll repel it to a certain point. So most of these islands, they won't stay. There are very, very few that will actually stay in one spot. They kind of cycle through, and they're always moving, because what it is an island will be pushed out of the chasm, and it might come from the very depths of the chasm. It might come from the bottom, the floor, and be pulled onto the ground and lifted, and just make its way through all the layers till it comes above the cloud, and it'll float up above sea level, and then once it gets far enough up, it drops again. Okay. Every once in a while, when a huge shift happens in some of these electromagnetic waves, you'll have an island that all of a sudden, and these are catastrophes. Some of these islands will just stop being repelled, or they'll be attracted instead. So you'll have an island that's floating one moment, and every once in a while you'll have one that just drops.
Wow.
And so what happens is, if that happened, if that was a reoccurring situation, life would have to be so adaptive that something as massive as a several ton mound of earth coming and crashing in just randomly, that everything can still thrive and survive in an environment where that happens regularly. There has to be, they've got to be specialized. So that's kind of how that works. They'll float to a certain height, and then they'll start to fall. Some of them will stay at a general height. When you're up on the cliffs above the cloud, generally you're only going to see smaller islands, ones that don't have the weight to stay lower. They'll kind of just they'll be lifted up to a good height, and then they'll come down. But they're generally the smaller ones.
I'm really interested in seeing how Finley and his crew, especially the dwarves, the Cthulhu, are going to, because they're going to find a way to manipulate and use those, especially with cables and things like that from Pinwheel. It'd be interesting to see how, having maybe a substation or a supply station or something like that, I can imagine them trying to escape the creatures down there in the chasm and, get to platform 3, something like that.
And that's another thing I was working on in designing is a map of the different outposts that they have set up.
Ooh,
and different little stations because Pinwheel is the main station, but you can't, if it's several hundred miles long and several miles deep, you can't just have one place to gather everything. You've got to have little outposts, right?
Exactly.
To go explore. So I was designing and figuring out where those were. But one of the other cool aspects, one of the life forms that has formed in the Dragon's Chasm is a type of plant. So it's not actually part of any family of plants, I'd say, that are real, because they use sunlight and photosynthesis to survive and to create their food.
We're talking about regular plants.
Yeah, regular plants.
Right.
Normal ones, the boring ones. Anyway.
The boring ones.
Anyway, this thing...
Venus flytrap is not boring. Thank you very much.
You're right, but I can make things cooler than a Venus flytrap.
Okay.
Saying.
All right. Feed me, Maurice. Okay.
Anyway, so this massive root that doesn't use photosynthesis, what it does, it absorbs the nutrients and the mass amount of nutrients in the soil. So what it is because the Dragon's Chasm has that atmosphere, the cycle of nutrients through the ecosystem, everything has to be recycled. Stuff doesn't leave the Dragon's Chasm and go to other places. It goes in the Dragon's Chasm stays in the Dragon's Chasm. So if something is raised and it lives, grows old, and dies in the Dragon's Chasm, it's got to be recycled and to turn it into something else, because everything has to be cycled through.
Absolutely.
Because very rarely are there things being thrown in or things coming out. So it's got to be completely self-sustaining. So due to that fact, there's a massive amount of nutrients in the soil of the Dragon's Chasm, and that's actually something that Finley's trying to do. Is he's trying to take this like mega fertilized soil from the Dragon's Chasm,
superfood type things for plants,
and be able to use it. The reason why the land around the Dragon's Chasm where some of this nutrients
oh my heck,
comes
you
out,
just solved a problem I've been trying to figure out something to write for 3 years. And I'm so sorry because I can't tell you. You just solved a problem. Sorry, I'm going to write this down on a piece of paper. No, keep talking.
Anyway, I love those moments of clarity.
They're
amazing.
So good. Hold on. Where's a pen? I got a pen.
Here.
There's got a pen.
Here's a pen.
Okay.
Anyway, so he's trying to figure out how to make this, use this fertilizer. The reason why all these plants aren't just exploding into growth and just using up all the nutrients is because of the super high salt content. Generally, it's poisonous. It'll kill plants. So only the specialized plants from the Dragon's Chasm can actually tap into the resources without being destroyed by the salt content. And this root is one of them. So what it is it kind of weaves through all the dirt, the ground, and absorbs this nutrients. And there's enough nutrients. It doesn't need leaves to gather sunlight. It can.
That's the idea.
Oh my gosh, that's
I know. 3 years I've been trying to figure out how to make that work, and nothing would work. You just solved that problem.
heck yeah.
I'm so
We
happy.
can't get too excited about this. We're gonna be impolite to the viewers. Anyway, that happened.
Start reading Chronicles of a Hero. You won't be disappointed.
Anyway,
oh my goodness.
anyway,
That's so awesome.
So this root, because it can feed off these nutrients, and it grows to immense sizes. I mean, like huge. And what it does is it'll grow and it'll attach to some of these floating islands, and hold them together and hold them in
Like
one place.
vines and things like
Yeah.
vines and roots.
Well,
and
vines
things?
that are like big enough. You can drill a house into them.
That
They're
reminds me of
they're like redwood trees, but vertical and can stretch anywhere they want.
That kind of reminds
mean,
just that
horizontal.
concept kind of reminds me of, remember when you and me, in fact, it used to be your favorite cartoon, Dragon Hunters.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Because all those floating islands and all the vines of the tree, all the roots of the trees kept it all together.
like that, and they're massive. Anyway,
That's awesome.
and because of that, lots of these floating islands, some of the ones that do hold still, it's because they have 100-year-old massive roots just holding them in place. And so you've got a bunch of these floating islands being held together by massive ancient what resemble tree roots. And that's a cool aspect of the environment itself. So the cliffs. Anyway,
We need to start writing. I want some more information. Just pause here for a second. I want some more information on a lot of these plants, because I think I need to start putting those into the flora in the database in Wanted Hero, because I like drawing roots and trees, and I would love to draw those islands and things out for cover and put that up for a speed drawing.
It would be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so these cliffs, they are above the clitoris, the cloud, and so what it does is all these islands that come out, they bring nutrients with them, and they bring all the resources from the Dragon's Chasm with them, and because of that, these floating islands and this ocean of mist is an environment in and of itself that a lot of creatures live on, and this environment is kind of governed by agility and speed. All these creatures have very quick reflexes, and mobility is their specialty, right?
Okay.
It's not about the big and the strong and the massive things. It's about, well, who can run fastest, longest, right? So it's got a lot of creatures that are specialized in like aerial combat and jumping, swinging.
So this
flying.
isn't necessarily endurance. You're talking about this is agility. This is who can move the quickest and be the most agile.
Yeah, and so the two dominant species are one, the wyvern drakes. They're actually and pinwheel. They've domesticated them and they use them to travel.
You were telling me about that. Yep.
Yeah, these massive territorns that just that live on these islands.
Are the other ones the dogs?
And then the other ones are the
I
the
like
dogs.
those. Very similar to, didn't you say similar to hyenas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, let me grab mine.
Getting more notes out of his full backpack that weighs like 65 pounds. Good grief.
I sure hope not.
See, I told you.
Actually, I
those
sure
are
hope
very...
so, because that means I'm freaking buff. I carry this thing everywhere. Let's see. The wargfag hyenas,
Aren't those little mini notebooks, aren't those fabulous? I love those.
Yeah, they are.
Walmart just needs to stop buying up all these companies. It irritates me. Go and find a really good deal for these notebooks. I used to pay $24 for a Moleskine, and I love Moleskine. If money was not an issue, I would just buy 100 Moleskine journals and use those. But I went and got, they were $3 to $6 each from Walmart, and then I started buying them directly from this company, and then all of a sudden I got a notification, sorry, you can't sell anymore online. Walmart has bought us out. You have to buy them through Walmart, and Walmart wasn't selling them. Irritating. So, and yet I went to Walmart with your mom last week, and they were on the shelf again. It's like, come on, somebody make up their mind. I just need to go in there and just like buy 100 to 200 of them and just put them on the shelf. So
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Tell me when you get that money.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so there's the wyvern drakes, and then they're their competition, the wargfag hyenas, and these are also domesticated as tracking
What
dogs.
did you call them?
Wargfag hyenas.
Wargfag. I think we're
Blame
gonna
the
have a
dwarves.
problem with that name. Wargfag. Okay. Wargfang, maybe? I don't
No,
know.
I'm gonna be straight up honest. I asked Roman what to name them until I could talk to you about a name, and he came up with it. So
Oh, so this comes from a 7-year-old.
yeah.
Awesome.
I was like, you know what? It's recognizable enough. I'll put it down in my notebook until I can come up with something better, and I was like, I'll just roll with it. I'm fine with that for now. So
I'm game. We'll make.
I can
things
come up
work.
with the creatures, and I do need your help with the names because it's not
That's
something I do
fine.
very well.
That's fine. We can talk to Finley or talk to Hope, and they'll let us know what they are.
Cool. And we'll have to figure out something. But that's just what I call him because he said that, and I was like, I don't know if anything else named that. So I mean,
Okay,
that works.
That'll
that
work.
works.
That'll work. Innocent if it comes from Roman. Okay.
Yep. Anyway, and so these things, they're actually part of their own classification. They've got a cat-like spine, so they're able to maneuver, jump, and land on their feet. And
Woo.
they also have specialized wrist bones and thumbs. So they can climb.
So wait,
vertical
are
things.
they
can
canine
run up.
or are they feline?
Neither.
Oh.
They're their own thing.
Okay.
They have attributes, I'd say, of both, and then some of
So
their
things
own.
that function like a canine
Yes.
spine.
So lots of their
feline.
behavioral traits are canine, and most of their physical attributes are feline, because cats are much better at that mobility. And so what I've kind of been thinking is that they were descended from much more canine creatures, but they developed feline attributes to survive the cliffs. And
You
to be
just
able
solved
to,
another problem. I'm
yeah.
thinking that we're probably going to take a combination of these creatures and do either an offshoot or something before them of the felines that I was talking about with the underlings that are the guardians of the tower. So, yeah. So, because that would be good. Depends
That would
on
be cool.
how do they have tails?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Sorry, you guys are you're able to be a part of these conversations of the development of Wanted Hero. You're welcome. This is just fun. This is the kind of thing that we like doing, and we just wanted to include you in it. So, okay, so here we go. We're coming up on the hour here. So
Yeah, and we've only done the top one.
yeah, so let's see. We will how far should we go before we cut off? Because we'll continue with this.
I think that the underbelly would be a good cliffhanger.
The underbelly. All right, go for it.
Anyway, so we just discussed the top. We can skip all the way to the bottom. You go through the cloud.
Should we talk about the middle next week, though?
The middle next week? Yeah, sure.
Okay, so do the...
And then the knock shells and the mid climb, the debris shells, canyon floor, all of that. Anyway, and at the very, very bottom, there is the canyon floor. But what Finley has discovered is that there's something under the canyon floor, another level, that's in the negatives, or that at least his leveling system, he considers them in the negatives because he created the leveling system and then realized that there was more.
Okay.
So at the bottom and the canyon floor, the most desolate and the bottom of what people thought it was, there are cracks in the ground that lead to further underground caverns and caves and tunnels that he still isn't quite sure how they were dug or how they got there or what they are. But they have a incredible contrast to the rest of the environment. The Dragon's Chasm is very loud, very vicious, very
Constantly
active, constantly moving in place. Everything there adapts so quickly, and it's always
always in motion.
Always in motion. And so you won't find any peace or quiet in the Dragon's Chasm, but he found an opening to this cavern, and he drops down inside with his crew, and it's dead silent. And I mean no noise whatsoever. Like you could hear a pin drop from a mile away in this place, and it's completely dark. Most things in the Dragon's Chasm have a bioluminescence, because light is something. It's got light. You can see. The difference is that it's all created by biological means. Anyway, and so he gets down there, and it's completely dark, and because you're so far below sea level, you're in the, like, if you went into the ocean this deep, you'd be in the depths of the ocean as well. This is midnight. This is like the twilight zone.
Wow.
Of the ocean.
Okay.
And so you can feel the pressure of the atmosphere. The air is thick. There's a weight. It's hard to move. It's hard to breathe, even through the apparatus. And you can actually take the apparatus off in there. Because
for real?
Yeah, because what it is, anytime there's a cracker opening that goes in there, there's a mist clam coral that grows there that absorbs all the saline content, and it drips the pure water into the... So down there, you can drink any water you find down there. Is completely pure, and more pure than most domestic means can make it. It's pure water, and you can go down there and you can drink any water that's there, and it's pure water. The air is
I'm not sure I'd want to drink something in complete dark and not know exactly what it is.
Well, I said that the water was safe, not what... I mean, and that's really it, though. Anyway, so it's dead silent, and very eerie. And the problem with everything that lives down there, and the few things that he knows of, is the system that they live by is much different. In comparison to the rest of the...
I'm watching his face contort as he's trying to figure out the right words to share and not give away spoilers. It's funny. It's really funny watching him try to... what's the word?
Anyway, so I don't want to I don't want to tell the story, but I'll tell you what it is right now is Finley avoids at all costs going down there, and he doesn't let any of the other explorers go down there because... the entirety of the Dragon's Chasm is dangerous, and they all know that, and people die a lot in the exploration. But down there, in the underbelly, it's a death sentence, and only he's gotten out alive, and he won't let anybody go down there. I think one of the reasons for that too is that is the problem with the things down there is they don't just feed off of the flesh. There are creatures down there that by unnatural means feed off of sanity. And he says that a couple of his buddies that went down there with him, they went crazy, and that it feeds off of it messes with you and your mind rather than getting at you physically. Anyway, I'm still it's still a work in progress, but I wanted it to be you're descending into this ecosystem of madness, but you get to this level and this stark transition, and it's quiet, and any noise can get you killed. Or you'll be pulled into the darkness, you'll lose your way, and you'll lose your mind.
Oh, that's unnerving.
That's
beautiful.
Anyway, so I've got stuff to make it more messed up. I don't want to explain any of it though, because I feel like I'm scared of what can be spoilers and what won't, because I don't know what's being used in the story. So it'll be interesting. I'm making the Dragon's Chasm, and then I'm gonna read the book as my dad uses it.
I can guarantee you that I will use what you will not suspect. That I can promise.
Cool.
All right, so that's our show today on lifeoffiction.com, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, Simon, for spending time with me.
You're welcome. It was fun.
So remember, all of you, not all of you, remember you, person who's listening to us, and I'm glad that you're here. Remember, you are more than you think you are. And we'll talk to you next time.